What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the first. Is this the first 2025? It is the first 2025 Friday with Addison. I don't know if I'm going to stick with that name, but we'll see. I know I've had that name for quite a while, but maybe I'll switch it up. We'll see. We'll see. But I figured, it's been a hot minute. I took some time off for the Super Bowl and whatnot, and then I just kind of got used to not really streaming on Fridays, that I was just kind of like, yeah, maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it. But, I figured, what's the best Friday to come back but the Friday after the first round of the NFL draft? So, pleasure to be back with you guys. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing this weekly again or if I'm going to wait until I'm going on vacation in June and stuff. And maybe that'll be more of when I come back on a full time, like every week basis. But appreciate you guys for joining in, tuning in on this really impromptu kind of random Friday afternoon live stream at 12:15, not at 12. But yeah, appreciate everybody for joining in. Jamie, what's up, dude? Been a minute for a live. It absolutely has been. Antonio, what's up, dude? Good to have you back. Good to be back for sure. Do I like how the style of this is? Is it bubble? Classic? Whoa, minimal? Good old StreamYard. All right, we'll keep it with that one. I like it. I like the vibes. Seth. Oh, it wouldn't be a Friday without some internet issues. hopefully, hopefully we're okay. I just got a new computer, so maybe we can blame it on that. That the computer is trying to figure out what to do with my Wi-Fi. All right. So anyway, Seth is in here. Seth, what's going on, man? One quarterback, half PPR, Dynasty, 10 keeper league. Herbert, Goff, Monty, Chuba, Jones, Tracy. Blah, 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 blah. Who do you keep and move an asking price? Fantastic question. And again, hopefully my internet is doing well. For me to that you guys are hearing this. I would keep pretty much everybody. An actual low-key winner from last night is Tyrone Tracy. Not in the sense that it was like, oh, the Giants might take a running back, but because they weren't going to take a running back at 3, assuming that they weren't going to take Genti at 3. But what they did was, by trading back into the first round in order to get Jackson Dart last night, they traded away a couple of their extra picks tonight. But in doing so, the Giants, I if I remember correctly, I don't think Tankathon is updated with this, but I don't think they have. I think they only have one pick tonight, which is a third rounder, and then they have a couple of day 3 picks. So low key, Tyrone Tracy, if he survives today again, which is entirely possible that they might not draft a running back tonight, that he's just going to be competing with some day 3 guy, which in this class, a day 3 guy might actually be a fairly competent player. But Tracy's a low key kind of winner from all the moves that the Giants made last night in order to get Jackson Dart. Obviously, you're keeping Lamb. I would keep, Devontae Adams. You can't move Keenan. I'd love to trade DK Metcalf if you can. If you can get a first, I don't know what's wrong with my internet. So hopefully that's not an issue for you guys on the stream. Honestly, like I just ride this out. Like I would have traded Tillman before last night, but they didn't take Travis Hunter, so that's good. I still expect that they might take somebody. They got 2 picks coming up tonight in the first 4 or 5, so they might take a quarterback and then they might take another wide receiver. Quentin Johnston survived last night. Might not survive tonight. We'll see. It's just a bunch of guys that I don't think you can really do anything with as of right now, and you're just kind of trying to see what you can do over, see what happens over the weekend. Like you're not moving Herbert, you're not moving Goff, Monty, Chuba. It's just a bunch of people that are either too good to move or are in precarious situations that you can't really do anything with right now. I feel like I'm sorry. I feel like I could give you a better answer, and I'm sorry that you're the first question for me this morning, coming back from a small break. But it's it's a good team, but it's a weird team too, in the sense that it's not super young, it's not super old. You're just right there, and you've got a bunch of names that could or could not be affected tonight and tomorrow still. So I'd just ride it out and just see what happens. Antonio, 14 team PPR. Are you taking Genty and Joe Milton or CJ Stroud? I'm taking Genty. I like CJ Stroud, but man, do they need some more help. I don't really care about Joe Milton at all in this, but I would take Genty over CJ Stroud right now. Although, given the fact that it is a 14 team, might lead me more towards Stroud. Just given the I figured it's Superflex if you're if you're considering trading Stroud for Genty. 14 team Superflex. Who are your quarterbacks? That might also sway me. I might be switching. Given the fact that it's a 14 team Superflex, I might be switching over to Stroud. Just Lamar. All right, I'll take Stroud then. It's just so much more valuable to have that extra starter because Tyrod. Okay, I would take Stroud then. Did you like earn the 1.01? And that's like your pick, so you're kind of rebuilding and trying to get back to being competitive in a year or two. Because if that's the case, or you could do that too. I'd be more curious to see what you could do with that. Take Ashton Genty at the 1.01, and then you have Stroud. Okay. I would be curious in terms of what quarterback you could get for Brees or CMC, because it might be a similar-ish quarterback to CJ Stroud. Like if you can get like Brock Purdy for one of them, or if you could get, Trevor Lawrence after last night is in a pretty good situation right now with BTJ and Travis Hunter. I don't think those guys are like Dak Prescott. Like I don't think any of them are all that different than CJ Stroud from a dynasty and fantasy perspective. They might be better than CJ Stroud from a production standpoint as well. So if you can get one of those quarterbacks with Brees or CMC, then trade Stroud for Genty, I think that's an upgrade overall, a net positive for your dynasty roster. So I wouldn't trade Stroud for Genty yet until you make a move for a quarterback, which you might have to wheel and deal depending on when your rookie draft actually is in order to make that happen. But if you're able to get another quarterback that's kind of similar to CJ Stroud with those running backs, and then you could flip Stroud for Genty, I'd be on board with that. What do we do with Travis Hunter now? Don't think anyone expected him on the Jags. Yeah, I certainly didn't. I was very ready to put him on the Browns. I was actually, prior to the draft last night, I was prepping the script for the video that dropped overnight, my round one reaction video. I already typed up all the Cam Ward stuff before the NFL draft because I was just like, I'm just going to save myself some time and write up my Cam Ward stuff. And I debated writing up the Travis Hunter stuff, assuming that he was going to go to Cleveland. But then I was like, we're getting all these rumors that Cleveland might trade out. Maybe I'll hold off for a second because anything that I do, and if they end up trading back, it's all going to be for loss. So good thing I did that. I didn't expect them to trade up. I didn't expect it to be the Jags to trade up, but I love it. What I also loved was that Liam Cohen in their press conference said that he is going to primarily start on offense. So I think the Jaguars drafted him to be a wide receiver and then to also impact the game for them defensively where they can. He personally, he rose to being my wide receiver one before the draft from a pre-draft rookie wide receiver standpoint over Tet McMillan. He's still my wide receiver one after the draft. I don't have an issue with him being there with Brian Thomas Jr. I think that's only like a positive dynamic for both of them. I love the landing spot for Tet McMillan as well. I love the fact that he's going to Carolina. I think that he's going to be like an easy 120, 130, maybe even 140 target guy with Bryce Young. I essentially said that it feels like it's BTJ all over again from last year with Tet McMillan this year. But I still think that Travis Hunter's upside is just so much higher than Tet McMillan's if he does hit on an offensive standpoint because he's just so freaking good. And if they are using him as like a 70 to 80% kind of snap guy offensively, and then they also have like 40, 50% of snaps on defense, He can do that. I have no doubts that he can do that at the NFL level, and he could be an impact player on offense and for fantasy. That I am comfortable having him as my rookie wide receiver 1. I'm fine with anybody saying that they would rather have him than Hampton at the 1.02 in one quarterback or Superflex leagues. I'm fine taking Travis Hunter over Cam Ward in Superflex leagues. That's where I'm at personally with Travis Hunter. I still love Ted McMillan too. Like, I think that he is a phenomenal consolation prize. It feels a lot like if you missed out on Marvin Harrison Jr. last year, which is funny to say now that you missed out on MHJ and then you just got Malik Neighbors, when now Neighbors is the better wide receiver. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it does feel like we have 2 premier prospects at the top for wide receivers that I'm totally fine getting either one of them. And you should not be sad if you got Tet and if you wanted Travis Hunter, and you should not be sad that you got Hunter if you wanted Tet McMillan. The top 5 in Superflex leagues right now looks phenomenal, and hopefully we can fill out kind of the rest of the first round with some good landing spots for these running backs still left on the board. Peter, what's going on, my man? Hoping for some good landing spots tonight. Have the 1.05 in a single quarterback and didn't love the landing spots for a lot of the guys in that range that went yesterday. 1.05 is in one quarterback is literally that last pick, or it's the first pick after those top 4 went, right? Like, I have the 1.05 in a Superflex rookie draft that I'm pretty on board with, because I can get either of the running backs, I can get either of the wide receivers, or I'll just take Cam Ward. So I'm cool with whoever I get at the 1.05 in that league. But the 1.05 in a one quarterback league, you are currently the first pick on the outside looking in. So maybe you could try to see what you could do to get into that top 4. Or, like if Travion goes to Dallas tonight, or, Judkins goes to Dallas, or Caleb goes to Dallas, or any one of them goes to Denver, or any one of them goes to Chicago, or any one of them goes to Pittsburgh. Like, there's still a multitude of landing spots for these running backs that they could go that will easily prop them right up to that 1.05 spot. It's possible that maybe somebody in your league takes one of those running backs in the top 4, and then you get Chet McMillan or Travis Hunter at the 1.05. That's entirely possible too. But yeah, I'm with you that I am hoping for all 3 of those running backs to get really good landing spots for them to continue to fill out the strength of this first round into that mid to late first area. And then that's where you can fill in with Loveland and Warren and Ibuka and Golden, and maybe we get another good landing spot for like Trey Harris or Jaden Higgins or somebody else tonight to continue to flesh out that first round. So I think you're in a good spot though with the 1.05. Just with, you have a lot of opportunities for a really good running back to go to a really good landing spot tonight in the early second round, so they'll get that draft capital that we love too. But I also would be curious to see what it would take to go from 1.05 into that top 4 to get Hampton or Tet or Hunter. But I'm cool just chilling for now, just to see what goes on tonight. So I don't think you're going to necessarily be hurt by any one landing spot tonight. You'll have somebody to pick. I've got picks 2, 4, 5, and 10 on a defending champ team that won earlier than expected. Congratulations. Do I do anything to move from 5 to 3 to get all of Hampton, Hunter, Tet, one quarterback, or just sit and hope for Travion? So kind of in the same situation. So Hampton at the 1.02, love that. You can get Tet or Hunter at the 104, and then I just saying to Peter, like, I'd just sit and chill for a second, and just see what happens tonight. Like, it could be Henderson. Henderson could still go to the Broncos tonight. Caleb or Judkins could go to Dallas. One of them could go to Pittsburgh. Well, I guess that would be a 3rd round pick because Pittsburgh doesn't have a second from trading for DK Metcalf. Who else do we still have that needs a running back? We still have there's some other opportunities in there too. For Cleveland technically could take a running back. Their only starter right now is Jerome Ford. So theoretically, if they took Shador at 33, and then they took Travion or Judkins or somebody as a hometown kid at 30, what are they at, 34? No, 36, something like that. I mean, that's another good landing spot for a rookie for immediate production. So I would just sit and chill if you have that 1.05 in a one quarterback league, and then and then 10, you're just seeing what still happens. You still get a good player at 10, but it's probably going to be somebody that you're going to have to hope kind of wins out with talent a little bit more than immediate fantastic situation, which is why they're there at 10. I seen someone get 105, 106, and 108 for the 1.01. Honestly, Genty, I would probably still take Genty for that. I mean, that's a massive haul. And if you hit on all three of those picks, that's phenomenal. But dude, Genty's just gonna be so freaking good. Um, it's just, man, he's gonna be he's just gonna be so good, dude. That he might be worth that. Same team I traded away Pickens and Jalen Wright for the 110 yesterday. Fair value, even if / after Pickens gets traded. No, I love that. If you can, I've been on board with selling Pickens for any first round pick. Jalen Wright, like Miami might take a running back tonight or tomorrow, which that might kill Jalen Wright. So there's not many situations where Pickens can get traded to that are inherently better for him. It's kind of like the T. Higgins argument that I was just kind of throwing out there, that there was hope that T. Higgins maybe could land in a better situation than what he has in Cincy as the wide receiver 2, but he's still utilized as a wide receiver 1 in Cincy, and there really wasn't a situation that he was going to get either the target volume or the target quality from Joe Burrow. Both of those he has in Cincy, and there's probably another destination where he probably could have gotten that outside of maybe like LA with Justin Herbert. And I feel kind of similar with George Pickens, to where his issue right now is he's like a wide receiver 1B in a run first offense that currently doesn't have a quarterback. So obviously any team that he gets traded to probably is going to have at least some sort of quarterback right now than Mason Rudolph currently, or whoever they end up taking tonight if they do. But I don't know if he were to be traded to the Giants, that would be a worse situation because he'd still be the wide receiver 2. And yes, they have Jackson Dart, but he'd still be the wide receiver 2 behind Malik Neighbors. I don't know if I love that landing spot for Pickens in terms of like raising his dynasty value. There's a multitude of other teams that he could go to that are just very similar to what he's at right now. And I don't think that he is the type of superstar talent to where he would elevate himself super above a situation. Like, he's been hampered hard by the situation in Pittsburgh, to where he's like been interesting with Russell Wilson and been pretty close to great with Russ, but has also been killed by Justin Fields. He'd been killed by Kenny Pickett. It's just, I don't know if there's many situations where even if he gets a quarterback upgrade that he's going to see many more targets, or if he sees as many targets that the quarterback's upgrade isn't going to be substantial. So I'm on board with trading Pickens for a first, and love that you were able to do that. Pickens to the Bills would be awesome. That's like the one landing spot where he can hopefully come in and be like the Stephon Diggs replacement. But again, like, they spread the ball around so much. Like, is Pickens substantially better than Khalil Shakir or Dalton Kincaid, or just handing the ball off to James Cook, or he's definitely better than Keon Coleman for sure. But like that team just feels like there's a lot of upside there, and that would definitely raise his dynasty value. But I feel like for as many teams as there are like Buffalo that you could point to and say that would be phenomenal for George Pickens, I think there's 2 teams, to that one for where he would go and just kind of be like, meh. The Chargers are it's those 2, but like if he were to be traded to Indy, that would suck. If he were to be traded to Tennessee, maybe. If you were to be traded to, Vegas, I don't even know if I love that either, because he'd be with Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers with Geno Smith. They just got Ashton Genty, so it's just like the Patriots might be interesting if you were to be traded there, but it's just, yeah, I'm not taking that bet with Pickens. I like trading him away for a first round pick. What would you do with Derrick Henry in a 1 quarterback league? Been offered mid to late seconds for him, but it just doesn't feel right. Yeah, you can't sell him for you can't sell Derrick Henry right now. It's been this way for multiple years where it's just like, if you're in the offseason, you don't trade away Derrick Henry. You just wait until he starts producing in season, then you trade him away. That's pretty much that. Because it's Derrick Henry, Devontae Adams, all these kind of players that are just their only production. And when people are looking at really just age and value, dynasty value now, these guys are going to take a hit, and you can't sell them. You just got to wait until this season because he's going to be so much more valuable in September and October. Also, Najee stocks, he had a great run. Najee, workhorse RB1 for the Chargers, had like a month and a half. But I mean, I threw that video out earlier in the week saying that he was a roster clogger that you should sell. Also had that video earlier in the month saying that you should sell Najee Harris. So that was that. Judkins to Pittsburgh. I don't know if he falls to round 3, but it would be fun. I'm on board with that. Ibuka to Tampa is so heartbreaking for Dynasty. See, okay, so I actually low-key disagree. I liked the landing spot of Ibuka going to Tampa. And if this is the consensus thought process around Ibuka, I'm going to have a lot of them because I think that there's a path. So it's either they know more about Chris Godwin's injury, and maybe he has an opportunity to step into that Godwin role now while he's injured. Mike Evans is a free agent at the end of the year, and he's gonna be 32 this year. So who's to say that he's even still as elitely productive as he's been over the past few years? He still was kind of like he slowed down last year and was also dealt with injuries. And then is a 33-year-old free agent next year. Like at the end of the year, if Mike Evans retires, I would not be surprised. He's going to be 33. He's going to have, especially if he breaks the 1,000 yards again, he's going to have broken Jerry Rice's record. He'll have a Super Bowl ring. He'll be 33 years old. He'll have made massive amounts of money at that point. He's a Hall of Famer. Like he could just retire at the end of the year as a free agent, as a lifelong Buccaneer with 1,000 yards every single year of his career and just be done. And then now Ibuka is the wide receiver 1A, 1B with Chris Godwin, and Godwin's coming off of an injury. So I think Ibuka is this year's Rome Odunze, who was last year's JSN. Like I like the landing spot a lot for Ibuka. You're just gonna have to wait a little bit, but you might not even have to wait all that much. Like he could be as impactful as Jalen McMillan was last year because of Mike Evans' injury and then because of Chris Godwin's injury. So if this is the consensus sentiment around Ibuka to Tampa, I am going to be very, very in on buying Ibuka. Like he's easily my dynasty wide receiver 3 in this class. And nobody is going to be able to get over him. You're a big Jalen McMillan fan, so that felt like a shot to the heart. That one was tough. I do agree with that. I did not see that coming from Jalen McMillan because he already got hit by Godwin re-signing and then now got hit by Ibuka being drafted there. So I do agree from a Jalen McMillan standpoint, that does hurt. And I also do agree, like you said, that he was praying that you prayed that he fell to the Pats. I do also agree that there are better landing spots for Ibuka for immediate production, but I also don't think that Tampa is a bad landing spot. So I'll be in on him for sure. Seth, as a fellow Steelers fan, what do you hope they do on day 2? I hope that they don't draft a quarterback tonight. I hope they don't. I would be fine if they took the shot on somebody on tomorrow night. If it's like Dylan Gabriel or Will Howard or Kyle McCord or somebody like that. Like I'm fine taking their shot on a day 3 dude just to see what happens. But I don't want them to like make a move for Shador. I don't want them to make a move for Jalen Milroe. I pray to God they don't make a move for Tyler Shuck. That I honestly am hoping that they just go into the season with Mason Rudolph and then tank and then have a high draft pick next year with the draft in Pittsburgh, and we take a quarterback next year, whether that's Aller or Mateer or whoever it ends up being. Arch has a Joe Burrow season, leads Texas to a massive NCAA championship run, undefeated, wins the Heisman, declares we have the first overall pick, we get Arch Manning. And then Addison wakes up. And no, they don't have a second tonight. The Steelers do not have a second. We just have a third. Yeah, we have 83. Assuming that this is, I don't know if Tankathon is updated. But yeah, we don't have a second because we traded that to Seattle for DK Metcalf. So we just have 83rd tonight. So in terms of like who they should draft, I mean, I think they should draft a running back Saturday. So tonight is probably going to be maybe another defensive player. I wouldn't be shocked if they went wide receiver, especially if they're making a Pickens move. That they can draft, you know, I don't even know who's going to be there in round 3, Jalen Royals or somebody like that. So that I don't think there's not a lot that the Steelers can do tonight that I think will make me mad, just as long as they don't draft a quarterback. And Jamie, I'm so excited that the Browns are taking Shedeur. First pick tonight, Shedeur Sanders, right there. Boom. Is Michael Pittman just a hold? Feels gross, but his value is so low as is. Yeah, he's been a hold throughout this whole offseason process. And I don't even think Tyler Warren impacts him all that much. I mean, they kind of can operate some of the same areas of the field, but they both have the same issue. They both have an Anthony Richardson issue. But like, I don't think Pittman just like lost his talent all of a sudden. But yeah, his value is just way too low. You're just hoping that the situation either improves in Indy or that he leaves. He's got 2 years left on his contract. So he's a free agent at the end of 2026. They can technically cut him. Wow, he's extremely cuttable next year. He's got a $29 million cap hit, with 5 of that being dead cap. So they could cut him to save $24 million at the end of this season, which then we're talking about a 29-year-old free agent. So that might still be iffy, but I just think that he's so low that you can't really do anything with him. Like, where's he at on keep trade cut? Is he even still? Oh, he's wide receiver 45 on KTC. He's one spot behind Devontae Adams. If you could do Pittman in a second for Devontae Adams, I would do that in an absolute heartbeat. Same for Khalil Shakir. Maybe you could pivot off of him to go to Juwan Jennings or Courtland Sutton or even Jacoby Myers. Trade down to get Christian Kirk, maybe. I'm surprised to see Michael Pittman at wide receiver 45. So, but if you can do any of those moves, I think I'd be in on it. But outside of that, like, I'd rather have Pittman than Debo. I'd rather have Pittman than Keon Coleman. I'd rather have Pittman than, let's see, who else is down in here? Yeah, Leggett and Ridley and Diggs. Like, I'd rather just keep Pittman than all those other guys. But if you can pivot to, Shakir or Jennings or Devontae Adams, or maybe move down to Christian Kirk, because Kirk feels like a similar kind of play style, but at least has a better quarterback with CJ Stroud. Those would be the guys I'd try to pivot to if you can. Who you liking at the 108 in a 1 quarterback league? Also, happy Friday/draft day 2. Happy Friday/draft day 2 to you as well, Steven. At the 108 in a 1 quarterback league, my hope is that it's somebody tonight, or Ibuka. Ibuka would be my hope there at the 1.08 as well, because we're thinking Genty, Hampton, Tet, Hunter are the top 4. Maybe then we get Travion, Judkins, and Caleb in there for 5, 6, 7. So then you get Ibuka at the 108. Or maybe Ibuka gets thrown in there, and then you get one of those running backs at 1.08. That's essentially how I'd be looking at it. I as of this moment, I'm not currently all that invested into looking at Loveland or Warren there. So I'm hoping for somebody tonight with a running back, or if it is Ibuka, I'm not in on Matthew Golden either. So that's just that's what I'd be rooting for tonight, that all 3 of those running backs get phenomenal landing spots, so that you either get one of those 3 or those 3 get vaulted ahead of you. Then you just take Ibuka. That's where I'm at. I time my work breaks for AMA Fridays. Appreciate you, my dude. Tanking feels so off agenda for Pitt after trading for DK. I know. They're probably still in on Aaron Rodgers. They're probably still trying to get Kirk Cousins, and it's just I will say the one benefit, at least, though, is that DK Metcalf is on a 5-year deal. So I'd be like, hey, Pittsburgh, just swallow your pride for 1 year. Go get another quarterback next year and just have 4 more years of DK on a rookie contract on a rookie quarterback contract. And that's that. Yeah, that's bada bing, bada boom. One of the 3 running backs or Ibuka. That's where I'd go as of right now. I doubt that changes. There'd have to be like phenomenally horrible landing spots for 1 or 2 of those running backs tonight, or they fall out of round 2 and 3 completely. Like if Judkins or Henderson somehow fall to day 3 to tomorrow, then I'm absolutely not taking them at the 1.08, no matter what landing spot they get. But I feel like you are getting one of these 4 dudes at that 1.08 spot, and that's what I would be rooting for. Did you already say anything about Loveland to Chicago? Warren to Indy really wanted one or the other, but both their landing spots feel uninspiring. I feel the exact same way. I talked through both of them a little bit in my reactions video that dropped earlier this morning, which it did drop, by the way, at like 2 a.m. I was up till 2 a.m. last night making that video. So, and I just posted it. I didn't schedule it for anything. So it might be buried depending on some other content that you guys have gotten. If you subscribe to anybody else, there's a bunch of content being made right now. So if you didn't see it, I don't blame you because it might have gotten buried. So you might need to scroll down in your feed. But I did talk through both these guys in that video. The TLDR, Warren to Indy is uninspiring because of the quarterback situation. Love the talent, but he's going to be competing with Pittman and Josh Downs, maybe even Adonai Mitchell. That team is a run-first team, so Jonathan Taylor's going to be more of the engine to the offense as well. And they just don't have good quarterback play right now. You can't trust Daniel Jones based on anything he did in New York. I doubt that changes in Indy. We haven't been able to trust Anthony Richardson at all. So I think the first couple years for Tyler Warren are going to be really, really rough. And that just might be the way it goes. Loveland in Chicago is more interesting, but it sucks from a fantasy perspective because he's probably also going to be behind DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. Cole Kmet is still there, and they might draft a running back tonight, and that running back might be impactful as well. Like if they draft Travion tonight, he's going to get targets as well and be utilized in the receiving game or rushing game, like as an actual rusher, and be utilized in the receiving game. So my fear with Loveland is that he just might be Dalton Kincaid 2.0. Like he's like a good tight end, but kind of just gets buried behind some other better receiving options. Although he might just be good. Like I do think that Colson Loveland is a very, very good tight end prospect and a very good receiver. So maybe that offense is good enough to support all 3 of those guys. And a good running attack, and then in which case Caleb Williams is probably going to be a phenomenal fantasy quarterback. But I think if you're making the pick to draft either tight end, you're just you're not lighting the pick on fire. There's definitely worse picks to make with your first round rookie picks, but it just feels so uninspiring, like you said, that you're just hoping that something changes, that the talent wins out more than the situation. It might not be this year, maybe not even be next year, but took a couple years for Trey McBride, and now he's phenomenal. It's not the worst pick that you can make, and they will be first round rookie picks for me in my rankings, but I'd probably be trying to do anything that I could do to move up from where if you're slotted to take one of these guys, I'd probably be trying to do anything I could to move up. That's essentially it, which sucks. I hate it so much. It sucks, but yeah. Powerful with a $2 super chat. Thank you so much, man. 10-team Superflex IDP have to hold 1.03 until on the clock, right? 101 is guaranteed. Genty 102 needs a quarterback. If Hunter is available, feel like I have to take him. He'll get points at wide receiver and DB. I mean, I'm cool with taking Travis Hunter ahead of everybody that's not named Ashton Genty in a Superflex league. But especially if you get IDP points for him, yeah, I would absolutely then be smashing him at the 1.03 spot because you get all the upside of him as a what seems to be more of a full-time wide receiver, and then you get the additional icing on the cake of whatever he does defensively. So yeah, if you get Travis Hunter at the 1.03, absolutely smash, take that spot. If 102 ends up taking Travis Hunter, then I would take Omari and Hampton. Unless you really need a quarterback, then you could take Cam Ward, but then you get Amari and Hampton the 1.03. I don't think that there's a wrong answer for you with that pick. I would be more excited to get Hunter, just given the IDP aspect of it, but Hampton's a very good consolation prize for not getting Hunter if he goes 1.02. So yeah, I think you're sitting pretty, dude. Just take whoever ends up going there. Who ends up being there for you at the end. A lot of offers to move back. Kind of why I'm asking. Have to hold until I'm on the clock is how I feel. Yeah, yeah, I would agree. Just because I wonder if everybody else is seeing that as well. That either if they trade into that 1.03, they're either going to get Travis Hunter with the IDP boost, or they're going to get somebody that they also liked in Omari and Hampton or anything like that. So you're in a really, really prime position. I'd be curious to hear the offers that you are getting to move back. But I doubt they're anything super strong as of this moment. That pick's only going to get more and more valuable up until the point where it's actually on the clock. So I would just hold on to it and see if somebody gets either too desperate that they offer you something crazy, or you just take Hunter or Hampton and just be happy with that. But I would be curious to see what the offers are that you're getting. What's Leggett's fantasy production with Tet? They play different areas of the field, or is Leggett the X, or is Tet the X with hybrid slot role? I would presume that Leggett would be the more of a slot role type of guy, and then Tet would be the X. Honestly, I don't think Leggett is going to be anything. I think he's kind of done. I wouldn't be like if you throw Ted on the outside at the X, you throw you could have Coker out there as well, with or without Leggett. I think Leggett's pretty much done. Like not done like in the NFL, but like he's just not going to do anything for you for fantasy. Like he might be Dontavian Wicks or Alec Pierce or somebody like that. Josh Palmer. That might be where we're at with Leggett, and that might be a player that you drop in season. Not even gonna lie, he might be a player that you drop in season, depending on how good Ted McMillan actually is. Ugh, it was cold water. Cab the Cow with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, my dude, for the support. Tough question. 16 team Superflex IDP, good IDP scoring. Have the 1.01. 16 team makes me want Ward. IDP makes me want Hunter. Genty's Genty. Oh my gosh. What is your roster? Um, you don't gotta share everybody with me, but like, what's the core look like at quarterback, running back, and wide receiver? Like, did you buy the 1.01 out of luxury like a year or two ago? Are you the 101 team? So your team's kind of bad. Um, that's really where I'm curious. I feel like low key, I feel like Genty's like the third option on this, no matter what, because either your team is so bad that you 108 just missed the playoffs. Okay, so the 101 is there kind of at a luxury for you, so that's fun. Have Caleb and May, Bijan at running back. Okay, who are your wide receivers? keep seeing my Wi-Fi signal pop up on my screen, and it's really annoying me. I'm gonna have to like reset my internet. Maybe. Um, the 16 team Superflex is killing me, dude, because that makes Cam Ward so freaking valuable. But Travis Hunter in a good IDP as well. Tyreek, Marv, Garrett. Well, okay, that solidified it for me. I am taking Travis Hunter then, because you've got Caleb and Drake May, so you have the two starters at quarterback. You have Bijan at running back, but your wide receivers are pretty iffy. Like Tyreek could just be kind of dying before our eyes. Marv, maybe he doesn't put it all together. Garrett Wilson, good year 3, but now is with Justin Fields. That's awful. Worthy, if he gets smacked by Rashee Rice coming back and Hollywood playing the whole year, that's entirely possible. I would just take Travis Hunter then, as for the upside of an elite wide receiver prospect, but then also the icing on the cake of the IDP scoring. So I think I would take Travis Hunter. Man, that's insane. um, 16 team Superflex. Holy crap. I don't care about Coleman. The fact that you already have Bijan makes me not want to put my chips in on Genty. The fact that you have Caleb and May makes me say, okay, you could live without getting Tam Ward. I think I'd just take Travis Hunter. Is it the only other option that I could see would be, is it possible for you to move back a spot or two, get a little extra something, and then have the decision kind of made for you? That's the only other option that I could possibly see of not drafting an actual player at the 1.01 and seeing if you can move back a pick or two if somebody really wants whoever they end up deciding on. If they really need that quarterback so they can take Cam Ward, if they really wanted Ashton Genty, if they're really in on Travis Hunter because of the IDP. But I think if you stick at the 1.01, I would take Travis Hunter. And especially with the fact that you start 11, so Cam Ward might not even be a starter for you. I think Hunter is going to make a bigger impact for you as in a start 11 than having an additional starting QB3 on your bench to play for bye weeks. So I would take Travis Hunter. We got there. Appreciate the $5 super chat though, man. We got there, but hopefully that's the right answer. is taking Travis Hunter. Thanks for the advice. That's kind of where. Yep, cool. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for the super chat. For sure. So, I think we're in alignment. I think that should be the right answer of taking Travis Hunter at the 101. Where did I leave off? I haven't heard from Powerfold yet. I was curious on Powerfold's trade back offers. He said he's been receiving offers to move back from the 1.03. I don't know if you're still in here, Powerful, but I'm just curious to hear what the offers are to see if they're even worth your time, other than just taking Hunter or Hampton. Oh man, I was gonna try your name. I don't think Guillermo Lima. That's the go with Guillermo Skolka Lima. That is a name, dude. I like that name a lot. Anyway, sorry. 20 teams, no PPR, worthy in the 110 for 1.01. Holy crap. You know what? Just give me Genty, dude. It's in a standard league, and Worthy isn't like a wide receiver that might be phenomenally helped by a. Was I right on the pronunciation? Oh, oh, phonics, dude. Anyway, but in a non PPR, it's not that Worthy is like a wide receiver that might be overly helped by the PPR aspect of it, but that does just devalue the wide receivers just in general. To where then you're also pairing it with the 110. The only argument that I could see happening with this is that because it's a 20 team, if this is somehow like a 2 copy league, so so that 110 is actually more like the 105. So it's a 20 team, 2 copies, so it's essentially like 2 10-team leagues together, and then that 110 is more like the 105. I can see that happening, but I think this is Ashton Genty pretty easily in just a normal Worthy in the 110. So I would take Ashton Genty easily. Powerful, they're not great. Stand by. All right, cool. I'm just curious on what these trade back offers even are right now, because I do think that pick is going to get more valuable the more desperate people get, and the closer that you get to actually being on the clock or actually being on the clock. Danny, hey Addison, who are your favorite IDPs for this year's NFL draft? Danny, I'm so sorry, dude. I do not do IDP. I don't know anything in terms of IDPs outside of just like the fact that people are excited about Travis Hunter for the dual positionality that he'll offer in an IDP. That is just not at all a skill set that I possess. We do have IDP rookie rankings on dynastyleaguefootball.com. So if you have a subscription to our website, you'll be able to get the IDP content and the IDP rookie rankings. Sorry, my wife's downstairs with Oliver. He started crying. I was just trying to see if it was a bad cry or if it's just a normal cry. Sounds like she's got him. But yeah, Danny, I'm no worries, brother. Appreciate you. Yeah, I just 100% admit that I do. That's just not a skill set that I possess. Same with Devi. It's Devi and IDP are like my two massive weaknesses because I just don't have them. I just don't have those skills in the bag. So I do apologize, but yeah, I would check out if you are a subscriber to the website. I would check out what we've got going on over there for rookie rankings and IDP content for this year for the draft. So appreciate you, man. Of Cowboys, Broncos, Bears, Giants, maybe Steelers, are there certain day 2 backs that you think fit better for any of those teams over others? Fantastic question. So I think the Broncos are a good landing spot for basically anybody. I think that they're pretty like prospect agnostic in that sense, to where I think that anybody could just fit into that skill set. And the offense that they are, I think, are looking to run under Sean Payton. I think that Travion fits it more than Johnson and Judkins, but I also think Johnson and Judkins would do well in that scheme, even as pass catchers. Chicago, I think, could be interesting more so. Like, I think Travion would do well because he's kind of got that Jahmyr Gibbs aspect, but they do have DeAndre Swift already, so maybe they see that as kind of a redundant pick to where they might go for more of the bruiser to find their Montgomery, even though Ben Johnson's already tossed DeAndre Swift aside already. They feel kind of similar to where, Travion could do well there too, but they might also look more for Judkins or Johnson. I think both of them are very similar. Dallas, again, I just think that all three of them could do well. I do low-key think that Caleb Johnson would be a better fit for the Cowboys than the other two. Just as more of like a power back who can also catch the ball well out of the backfield. So I think I would, if I had to like pick and be like, I'm putting you there, I'm putting you there, I'm putting you there, I would put Travion in Denver. I would put Caleb Johnson in Dallas, and I would put Judkins in Pittsburgh. That's just how I would go about it. And then, the Bears and the Giants can fight over You know, like I think Scadaboom would make sense for the Giants to pair with Tyrone Tracy. But I also think that they could do well with, many other, like I think Damian Martinez could fit well there. Jordan James, if they wanted to go a little bit cheaper. So but I don't think those guys are day two back. So of those three, if I had to pick, I would go Caleb to the Cowboys, Travion to the Broncos, Judkins to the Steelers. But I'd be also very happy with Judkins to any of those teams, Johnson to any of the teams, Travion to any of the teams. So yeah, I just want them to all go somewhere fantastic, because then that would be so much better for this mid to late first round range for rookie drafts right now. Who is your 1.02 in Superflex for the question? Well, it's the same answer in both formats. It's Amari and Hampton as of right now. But I don't have any issue with anybody preferring Ted McMillan or preferring Travis Hunter, especially in very situational leagues like how we've been talking through. Travis Hunter could fit here in some IDP leagues, or if it's more of a 14 or 16 team league, you might want to prioritize Cam Ward if it's a 14-16 Superflex league. So those are, I think, edge cases and formats to where, my answer could definitely change. But as of right now, in both one quarterback and Superflex, it is still Omari and Hampton, but that tier has opened up to accept Tet and Travis Hunter in one quarterback leagues, and then Tet, Hunter, and Cam Ward in Superflex leagues. But if I was on the clock with 1.02, I would take Omari and Hampton in, I would say, 98% of leagues. For IDP, go after edge rushers. We do IDP content and RPO. There we go. Appreciate you, Jamie. All right. I ran out of questions, I think. Oh, powerful. To move back to the 1.05 feels like pulling teeth to get the 2.09 added. Got an offer for 108 and the 208, but I would also be throwing in Eric Kendricks. More interested in only moving back to the 5. Yeah, I don't like either one of those offers whatsoever. 105, I think, is definitely the cutoff because this is Superflex, right? Am I right in that this was a Superflex format? Am I scrolling up too high? I am. Yeah, 10-team Superflex with the IDP. The 105 is nice because it still guarantees you Tet or Hampton or Ward at that 1.05 spot, because I see it's like Genty's obviously the 101, but then like 2, 3, 4, 5, as it just mentioned, is all kind of one big tier for me in Superflex with Hampton, Ward, and then the 2 wide receivers. So 105 is not a bad trade back because you're still guaranteed one of those guys. And if you can get something added on top of that, I think that would be phenomenal. 2.09 is not good enough. And if you're pulling teeth to even get the 2.09, I want more than the 2.09 to move back from that 1.03. So if you're not even able to get the 2.09 added, then I don't even think it's worth it. 108 and 208. I mean, I wanted more than the 2.09 to move back just to 5. I need way more than that to move back to the 8. So yeah, I just maybe your league mates get more desperate, or maybe they get more interested in that pick as we get up to the clock, to you being on the clock. But if these are the offers and you're getting more offers that are similar to this kind of stuff, you already know, man. Just take Hunter or Hampton and be happy with that pick instead of trading back. So appreciate you typing up that. I was just very curious on what the offers even were, and it's as you said, it's very clear that they are not good. Just take Hunter or Hampton. Appreciate it. I'm at the 1.03 in the team ahead of me. And he's wide receiver bad, hoping he goes wide receiver instead of Hampton. That would work out. I could see it. Some people get, especially at the top, they get really into investing into the positions of need, which is easier because the talent level isn't as steep of a drop off as it is later in the first. That's why I always preach just taking best player available, especially as you get later on in the draft, or later on in the first draft, I should say, first round of the draft. just because you want to go with draft capital. You want to be talent over situation, all that kind of stuff. But at the top, it's easier because the talent discrepancies between running backs and wide receivers, it's not as big. So if you need one of the other, it's easier to go with that. So if they need wide receiver, Hampton at the 1.03, bada boom. A Mecca landing spot. Does he break away as wide receiver 3 despite being Evans and Godwin? Yeah. So I talked about Ibuka earlier in here, and also talked about him in my reactions video that dropped earlier this morning. So I'm not going to run through the whole entire spiel all over again, but he is very easily my rookie wide receiver 3, and nobody's going to dethrone him. Matthew Golden is not even close to Ibuka, in my opinion. And nobody is going to be drafted tonight that would even get close to Ibuka, because they're not going to have anywhere near the draft capital, and I don't think they're anywhere near him in terms of prospect profile and talent. So he's very easily the rookie wide receiver 3. Burden could maybe make a case. If Burden goes to New England, maybe. But I think I'd probably still prefer Ibuka because of the draft capital and the long-term situation than Burden in one or two quality landing spots early tonight. But I think Ibuka is just going to be solidified as my rookie wide receiver 3. He's very easily over Matthew Golden. And because there's a path. Like, Evans is a free agent at the end of the year. Godwin may not be good coming off of the injury. He might even, he might need more time coming off of the injury than we initially thought of. Maybe that's why they drafted Ibuka, for the security of not having Godwin for as long as they thought this year, and the more long-term replacement to Mike Evans if he is leaving in free agency next year or retiring. So I love Ibuka a lot. So yeah, Burden with the Patriots or Tennessee, that could be interesting. Those would be that he's the only player in those very specific landing spots that I could see making an argument for being over Ibuka post draft. But I did have Ibuka ahead of Burden by the end of my pre-draft rankings too. So I'm sticking firm on that take that Ibuka got better draft capital. Might honestly even be in a better landing spot outside of one or two very clear situations for a Burden. But I'm holding true on that one so far, that Ibuka's ahead of him before the draft, and so far he's ahead of him still after the draft, especially with the draft capital. So what about the tight ends? Where do you rank them? Yeah, they're going to be first round rookie picks. I think when it's all said and done, they will probably. So we have. Let me do the math here. So we had in Superflex, we had 2 running backs, 2 quarterbacks, 3 wide receivers that I would have ahead of the 2 tight ends. So that's 7. So they'd be 8 and 9 as of this moment. And then if you push the 3 running backs ahead of them, I could see it if they all get good landing spots early tonight. Then I could see all 3 of those running backs clearing the tight ends. And then maybe Burden, maybe Shador. Like, if Shador goes to Cleveland first pick tonight, he's instant starter. So that he could vault either tight end. So maybe they're not guaranteed to be first rounders by the end of tonight. But they're in there. I would say that they're in that range right now, and could still be in that range depending on draft capital and landing spot for a handful of guys tonight. Draft capital especially, because if Judkins falls to round 3, I would take a first round tight end over a round 3 running back, just in general. No, Shador's going to Cleveland, Jamie. So, and I'm gonna love every minute of it. So that's where, even if Judkins goes to a good landing spot, but it's on, it's in round 3, I'd probably have the tight end still ahead of him just because of the draft capital But if Travion, Judkins, and Caleb all go in the first like 15 to 20 picks tonight, they're probably all three of them ahead of both tight ends. So which might be good. You might get a discount on some of them because of other people being vaulted ahead of them. You might end up with Loveland or Warren, in the early second. It's entirely possible. You need a replacement for Kelsey. Which tight end has a higher ceiling? My tight end one this whole entire time and still is my tight end one after the draft is Colston Loveland. So I think that if he's there, he's the guy. And I also think that he's going to be cheaper because I still feel like people gravitate towards Tyler Warren. He was the consensus tight end one before the draft. I think that they might view his path to fantasy relevance as easier in Indianapolis, even with the worst quarterback situation. I still wonder if people say, well, he's only competing with Josh Downs and Michael Pittman. If they figure out the quarterback situation, that's great. Whereas Loveland is pretty much always going to be behind DJ Moore and Odunze for the next 2, 3, 4 years, even if the quarterback situation is better. So you might get Loveland cheaper. But Loveland is my tight end one. So I would take him if the opportunity presented itself for that. And you might even get him cheaper. Almost got to feel bad for Shedeur. His dad got him way too much media exposure and hype when in reality he was never going day one. Yeah. It's crazy how fast he fell in the draft process, dude, because I was talking about it with my buddies last night when we were watching the draft that like up until and through the NFL Combine, it was, is Tennessee taking Shedeur or are they taking Cam Ward? And it was like they both had minus odds to go 101. And then Ward started pulling ahead, and then people were like, oh, well, Shedeur will go to the Browns, or if the Browns don't take him, if they want Hunter or Abdul Carter, then, he'll go to the Giants because they need a quarterback. Or, he'll go to the Raiders at 6 as before they traded for Geno. And then, just over the past like 6 to 8 weeks, it's just been a free fall for Shedeur, which, I also don't think is necessarily wrong. Like in my personal analysis, I agreed with a lot of people saying that Shedeur was much more of a day 2 pick than he was a day 1 pick in terms of talent and prospect profile. So I agreed with it. But it is just wild to think of where he was at the end of the NCAA season, even up through into March, and now isn't even, wasn't even around 1 pick last night. So I was wondering, when the Giants traded back in, it was obvious they were trading back in for a quarterback, but I did wonder if it was going to end up being Shedeur, even though the GM's son had a Snapchat story or whatever about Jackson Dart. But I did. There were a lot of rumors saying that they really did like Shedeur, but I guess Dable really was in on Dart, so they went with Jackson Dart, which leaves Shedeur open for Cleveland, right, Jamie? So. I was just so happy that Pittsburgh didn't draft Shedeur, man. Dude, I was sweating. I wanted them to draft Jackson Dart, but I was like, I did not want them to draft Shedeur. So I was pacing around the room and everything, dude. I was just like, I was sweating, bro, because I was really scared that Pittsburgh was going to draft Shedeur. Thankfully, they did not. So we'll have to see what they do at quarterback. And yeah, it will make or break Dable in New York for sure. I mean, he's already on the hot, like one of the hottest seats possible. But if it works, I mean, it saved his job for sure. If he's this year's Bo Nix or better, if he's this year's, Stroud or Herbert, they make the playoffs. Like, holy crap, Dable's going to get an extension. With Dart getting a year to develop behind 2 veteran quarterbacks, does that change your evaluation of him as a prospect? No. But also, I also don't even think that he's sitting the whole year. I personally think Jackson Dart's getting thrown out there by the end of September. I mean, he's ahead of Jameis for sure. But I wouldn't be surprised if Russ starts for the first few weeks and then they just transition over to Jackson Dart. no way Dart gets playtime ahead of Jameis and Russ, probably redshirt year. Nah, I disagree, dude. Because there's also the thinking of, if Dable is on the hot seat, right, and they want to win, why, if they're losing with Russ, why would they throw Jameis out there? The New York media is going to be calling for Jackson Dart. Dable's going to want to prove that they made the right decision in playing Jackson Dart. Like this, Dart's going to play over half the season this year. I'm like uber confident in that, and I wouldn't be surprised if he played more than 12 games. So I don't know. The schedule releases in a couple weeks, so we'll have to see when their bye week is. But like I said, like I would not be shocked if he's the starter for the Giants by the end of September. But I definitely think he's the starter by the end of October, and is the primary starter for over half the year, because they're gonna have to. If they're losing with Russ, they're not turning into Jameis, and Dable's gonna want to prove that Dart was right. I mean, like he's not. This isn't like a Jordan Love situation where he's coming in behind a future Hall of Famer who is winning games. Like Lamar was a late first round pick. He played 7 or 8 games as a rookie. I don't know why they signed Jameis just to get Russ and then draft Dart. I think they signed Jameis. It's all insurance. It's the same reason why the Chargers signed Najee. It's insurance to get the guy that you can get now. And then they signed Russ to be more of the starter than Jameis was, in case they didn't get a guy or they didn't like anybody that they were able to draft in the rookie draft, in the NFL draft. And then they really like Jackson Dart throughout more of the process. So and it's not like Jameis Winston or Russell Wilson's contracts are anything phenomenal. Like Jameis is on a 2-year, $8 million deal. His base salary this year is $1.9 million. That's Jameis's contract. He's making $4 million a year. Russ is signed a 1-year, $10 million contract, and his base salary is $2 million. Like they are, neither one of them were signed to be starters. They were just signed that they had a guy in case they didn't get who they wanted in the NFL draft, because they have minimal cash investment into either one of them. And now they have even minimal cash investment in Jackson Dart because of what is the 25th overall pick make? How much will the rookie contracts? So he is making like $15 million. Is that 4-year, $15 million? So Dart's not even making all that much either. And yes, Jameis might not even make the team. That's entirely possible as well. Like they can cut him. Let's see. Back to Jameis's contract. I mean, they would lose $2 million, but what just happened? This massive ad just popped up. I can't get out of it. His cap hit is $3 million, and his dead cap is $5 million. So they would lose $2 million, but cutting a guy for a $5 million dead cap is nothing. And he's probably not even guaranteed to be on the team next year, because next year that switches. They'd save $2 to $3 million by cutting him next year. Jameis was insurance in case they didn't get anybody else. Russ was insurance in case they didn't get anybody in the draft. And as they went through the process and then the draft fell their way, they got Jackson Dart. And I would take Jameis in Pittsburgh. I like it. Let's see. I'm a degenerate 16 team. Again, I have the 101, blah, blah, blah. Worth trading up into the top 3. Middle of the first this year seems to lack star power. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. If you can turn the 108 into a top 3 pick again, even a top 4 or 5 pick, I think would be phenomenal. Because you're guaranteeing yourself one of those guys again. Like you could get back in, you could get Tet, you could get Hampton. If you somehow get a 103 pick, like you might get Genty or Ward again because you're taking Hunter at the 101. If you can do it, do it. It just might be really expensive for you to do that. But I'm in on it. I do agree with you. The 1.08 is kind of in a weird position right now because it is reliant on landing spots tonight. So if you can make moves to get up there before tonight, I'd do it. It just depends on the price. Yes, it would. That would be phenomenal. Well, maybe they trade Pickens to New York for their second and Jameis. Boom. Done. They don't even have a second. I don't even know what picks New York has anymore after trading up last night. A 2026 second and Jameis for George Pickens. Scott, if you have the 112, would you rather trade back within 2025 and get more / higher seconds and thirds, or try to get a 26 or 27 first? I would just re-roll. I would rather push the first back, kick the can down the road than trade back. Because there is a 95% probability that the pick next year is higher than the 112. It may not be a better player than you're getting at the 112. That's still dependent on tonight as well. But there is a 95% probability that pick numerically is better than the 112. So I would kick the can down the road because I don't know. Every year pre-draft, we always say, "Oh, dude, grab your seconds. The depth in this class is phenomenal. Grab your seconds, blah blah." And then every year, the NFL draft kills so many people with landing spots that you never feel comfortable. Like it might be like the 112 is a good pick, then the 201, 202, maybe the 2.03, but then after that, it's like a drop. Every single year, always happens. That I would just rather kick the can down the road, and then maybe you even get lucky and you turn the 25 112 into the 26 17 or the 27 104. That could be something that I mean that happens all the time, depending on who you trade to and what the direction of their team is and their overall roster makeup entirely. I'd rather do that than just try to take more darts on seconds and thirds this year. Just give me another first down the road. What would you need on top of Hampton to trade away Achane? The 103 is on the block, and I know the first 2 picks will be Genty and Hunter. It entered my mind. I haven't thought about where these rookies are sliding in terms of overall dynasty rankings, but as I read this question, it entered my brain that I might prefer Hampton over Achane in dynasty. I have to sit on that. I'm gonna have veteran rankings out on the channel in a week or two, so I'll have to stew on that sentiment on how high Hampton actually gets in dynasty. But as I was reading it, it entered my brain that you probably can't ask for anything on top of Hampton to trade away Achane. A second. If you can trade Achane for the 103, big truck just went by. If you can trade Achane for the 1.03 and a second, I would do it. Does he have the 2.03? I'd love that. If you can get 103 and 2.03, or if he has another second, or if it's a 26 pick. Because I don't think the difference between them is all that much. In fact, I'm just curious, where does Keep Trade Cut even have these guys? One. They are they are back to back. It goes Gibbs, Bijan, Genti, Saquon, Achane, Hampton. In ranking. So you literally might not be able to ask for anything. If you want the 1.03 to get Hampton, you might just have to trade away Achane for it. And like Taz said, like nobody wants to pay an Achane a premium for Achane right now because I think there's still fear that Miami drafts somebody tonight, and if that happens, that's really going to hurt Achane. So I would try to make the move as quickly as possible, but I would not be asking for anything massive on top of Hampton if you're even asking for anything at all. That if you can get a second, great. Maybe you get a couple thirds. Maybe it's a fun like add-on, like another handcuff running back or something like that. Not sure what the other guy has, but I don't think you're getting much on top of Hampton, if anything. This is even assuming that the other guy even wants to trade away the 1.03 for Achane. That's entirely possible too. Yikes. That'll change in season. Whenever Derrick Henry starts scoring, that'll change. Honestly, I really like this running back group, though. If you have this running back group with like 3 or 4 top 15 or top 20 wide receivers, that's how you build a dynasty, buddy. That's like how my championship teams were last year. Both Gibbs and 101 are available. Which one would you rather trade for? I would rather trade. The answer theoretically is whichever one is cheaper. But I honestly, I've been workshopping a take that I would rather have Ashton Genty than Jahmyr Gibbs. I would rather have Bijan than Jahmyr Gibbs. Like Bijan's been my dynasty RB1 this whole entire time, and then Gibbs has been my RB2. But now that Genty's in Vegas with a top 6 pick, and he's 2 years younger than Gibbs, which 21 versus 23. But you're getting 2 more years on his rookie contract, 2 years less on age, just in general. Genty's going to be a full workhorse. Gibbs might not even be a massive workhorse just because Monty's going to be coming back and healthy. I've been workshopping a take that I'd rather have Genty than Gibbs anyway. So I feel like I'd rather trade for the 1.01, but if Gibbs is somehow cheaper, I would take whichever one ends up being cheaper. But if you're paying the same price, I'd rather just take Genty. Oh, Taz, that's gorgeous right there. With those running backs too? Yeah. Dart, a first round rookie pick now? Oh, but he has been. He always has been. Traded 101 Amon-Ra Kittle for Gibbs and Neighbors, not regretting it, but definitely worried. I mean, 101 and Gibbs crossed out Amon-Ra for Neighbors. Yeah, I mean, you lost out on Kittle. That was essentially. I wouldn't really regret it either, but you didn't get enough back. Yeah. You lost to Kittle. That's essentially what you're down. You're down to Kittle for this one. That should be like a video game currency or something. Like how many Kittles does that cost? Dynasty currency, Kittles. We measure our value in Kittles. All right. We've gotten to the end of the questions once again. I've been streaming for almost an hour and a half. Jalen Warren for Connor and Mooney. Oh my gosh, dude. I would rather have Connor than Jalen Warren straight up. You got a free Darnell Mooney? Give me Connor and Mooney. Easily. 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 Bada bing, bada boom. All right, y'all. I think this is where I'm going to cut it off for today. I'm going to go down, grab some lunch, hang out with a kid. Superflex questions, Stafford, Devonta Smith, and the 103 for Kyler and Garrett Wilson. Oh. I think I take Kyler and Garrett Wilson on this one. Stafford in the 103 for Kyler, I think is fine. And then I would take Wilson over Devonta Smith. So I would take Murray and Wilson here. Yep, final answer. Murray and Garrett Wilson. All right. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with me for the past almost hour and a half now at this point on a kind of impromptu return to the Friday afternoon AMAs. So I appreciate everybody for hanging out. I didn't want to lose any kills there. Not for sure. For sure, man. Yeah, I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. Enjoy rounds 2 and 3 tonight. Enjoy day 3 tomorrow. We're going to have a bunch of rookie content. I am basically not leaving this office area starting like tomorrow morning or even really theoretically tonight because I got content to make after rounds 2 and 3 tonight. So we're going to be pushing out. I got a lot of content to make. Justin has some videos that he's going to be making too. We got Caleb making some videos. So our editor is going to be on full-time mode as well. So we got content coming your way all weekend into next week, into the week after that even. So it's going to be a fun couple of weeks. I'll probably do another AMA next Friday then as well, just to help you guys there. But of course, if you have any questions, drop them down in the comments of any videos. Join the DLF Discord channel, which I can drop a link to. This is the DLF YouTube Discord channel. It's separate than the actual like DLF one. So if you wanted to join this one in there too, there's people in there that can definitely help answer. I'm in there as well, so I answer as much as I can, or which is I answer like everything. But if you want to join that in there too, we'll probably do some rookie mock drafts. Maybe we'll do some mock drafts live. We'll do some other stuff. But yeah, man. That's essentially it. Appreciate everybody for hanging out. Thank you so much. I hopefully we'll catch you again next week or in the next video. I'm terrible at outros, so I'm just gonna end it. Appreciate everybody. Later. Peace.